craft here. Got to get out, though, to the Pittsburgh area. We're getting a live update right now, a press conference from officials on that deadly explosion at the U.S. Steel plant earlier today. Let's listen.
Did successfully find one worker and rescued that worker earlier today. I believe that might have happened right at about the time of our last briefing. Unfortunately, as the rescue and the search continued here this evening, I'm here to report that we do have now a second deceased worker. Our search crews, both locally, U.S. Steel, as well as our urban search and rescue arm of this side of the state, and assistance from PEMA, they worked hand in hand together at the scene to work very methodically through that scene, based on information shared as to where they thought the best location would be of the worker, and they were able to successfully find him, unfortunately deceased. That worker has been extricated and is now in the hands of the medical examiner's office. I do not have any further information regarding that worker, but that does officially bring our recovery side of the incident to a close. Again, as the U.S. Steel folks have mentioned previously, plant operations are stable. So I'll just do a quick recap for you on the numbers. I believe it was 10:51 was the initial 911 call this morning. There were approximately 14 fire departments from the outside that were engaged with U.S. Steel Fire Department, as well as about 20 plus emergency medical service agencies as well. They have been working together for many, many hours now at this point. That evolved into 10 folks that were transported and treated, 5 of which, last update, are critical but stable. 5 were treated and released. And then lastly, and most importantly, 2 deceased workers from this incident. It does bring our incident from an emergency standpoint to a close. Certainly doesn't close the incident as a whole. There's lots to be investigated, validate everything that occurred here. And our crews will continue to be here assisting U.S. Steel in that process of reviewing what occurred. I believe that's all the updates that I have. Certainly will allow U.S. Steel to speak if they have any comments to add to that. Thank you.
So as the chief said, really our focus at this point in time has been the rescue efforts for our employees and the treatment for those injured. So everything that we've been doing right now, and so proud and thankful for our emergency services and all the communities that have come together to help in that effort and getting our employees the treatment quick and expedite them to the local hospitals and all the rescue efforts. That's been all of our efforts at this point. As the chief indicated, now we'll start the investigation. So we really have no further updates as far as what caused the event, because all of our efforts have been right now on rescue. That's all. Thank you.
We might be able to take a question or two, but there's not going to be much more we can add. So.
What would be the first step in the investigation now that recovery is over?
Yeah, so we'll be assembling a team, and then we will be starting to do interviews with employees that were directly involved with the incident. We'll bring in outside experts as well as our own company experts that we've flown in to help with the investigation, but we're just getting that underway.
Can you describe what exactly damage and the extent of that damage?
Yeah, right now we cannot. I mean, we had an explosion at the 1314 battery, but the extent of the damage is not known because all of our efforts have been focused on recovery.
Are you going to be making coke tomorrow here
So
still?
one of our coke units, the first unit coke batteries are still producing. The rest of the plant is stable and secure, so there's no additional impact as far as any gas or utilities. So we will be making limited coke, but that's not our priority tonight.
Would you describe it as catastrophic damage?
Right now, no. We don't know. We can't describe it of anything yet. Until we can get in there and assess what that damage is, we do not know that just yet.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up for tonight. That's going to be our last update for this evening. Anything else that comes out, we'll give you guys the appropriate heads up, most likely tomorrow at some point. So, thank you.
Right there, a brief update, the last one of the day that they said that they'll be providing to us. As we now learned, unfortunately, another worker at that U.S. steel plant is deceased, bringing the total number of fatalities to 2, multiple injuries, of course, during this. If you haven't seen this piece of video just yet, take a look at this. This is the moment of the explosion here. Let's watch. Okay, so what we're watching right now, this is from a live stream of the site itself. And you can see there the very dense gray-black smoke emanate there from the plant itself. So this explosion at this U.S. steel plant near Pittsburgh in Clairton left 2 people dead and sent at least several others to hospitals today, and heavily damaged the sprawling facility, with emergency workers, we just learned, wrapping up their recovery operations. The recovery part of this story is now over, according to emergency officials there on the scene. They said they have now brought this incident from an emergency standpoint to a close. I want to show you more of these aerial pictures from the scene. Take a look at these. So this is what we know. Also, one worker was pulled from the wreckage hours after the explosion. You saw there, sent black smoke spiraling into the midday sky in the Mon Valley. It's a region of the state synonymous with steel for more than a century. Now, the Allegheny County Emergency Services said a fire at the plant started around 10:51 a.m. local time. Now, that explosion was followed by several smaller blasts, and they could be felt in the nearby community. They prompted county officials to warn residents to stay away from the scene so emergency workers could respond there. Now, at the very same plant, got to go back to some of the history at this plant. Back in September of 2009, a maintenance worker was killed in an explosion at the very same plant. In July 2010, the following year, another explosion injured 14 employees and 6 contractors at the same plant. Now, according to online OSHA records of workplace fatalities, the last death at the plant was reported back in 2014 when a worker was burned and died after falling into a trench. Now, after that 2010 explosion, OSHA fined U.S. Steel and a subcontractor $175,000 for safety violations. Now, U.S. Steel, at the time, they appealed its citations and the money in fines. They were later reduced under a settlement agreement. Now, the plant, it's a massive industrial facility along the Monongahela River south of Pittsburgh. It's considered the largest coking operation in North America. It's one of 4 major U.S. steel plants in Pennsylvania. Now, the plant converts coal to coke. Coke is a key component in the steelmaking process. And to make coke, coal is baked in special ovens for hours at high temperatures to remove impurities that could otherwise weaken steel. And the process creates what is known as coke gas. It's made up of a lethal mix of methane, carbon dioxide, and carbon monoxide. So this is a major top headline we have been following throughout the course of the day here. A very, very tragic set of circumstances at this plant, at this facility there in Clairton, Pennsylvania. We've been hearing from Governor Josh Shapiro on X saying he's been apprised of all of these developments. And then that very brief press conference, we now learned 2 fatalities after this explosion this morning there. So a hard start to the week for this community. And like I said, we'll be on the lookout for any more updates, any more live press conferences come tomorrow. No more will come, though, tonight. We were just learning there, according to officials on the ground. Okay, in the meantime here, we have to take our first commercial break of this new hour. I'm Andrew Kraft. As you know, breaking news changes everything. We have a lot in store, though, on this Monday. Hope you had a really great weekend. I know I did, but like I said, there's still a lot to get to. I want to thank my colleague, Andy Mack, for guiding you through the last 3 hours of today's top headlines. I'm going to be doing the same for the next 4 hours. So out to that break, and then we'll get right to it.